sad news. Over 400 rhino were poached in the country in the last year, in 2021. The Environmental Affairs Department saying it's very concerning. Of course it is, that there's been an increase. But here's the difference. It's an increase of poaching in private reserves. So there's a bit of a change. Minister Barbara Creecy joining me now. Minister, good morning to you. I know how angry this makes you. We saw in 2020, didn't we, a slight drop because of COVID, no tourism, lockdown, etc. But we always thought that the private reserves were possibly a way to try and help these animals, but it seems they're actually becoming targets.
Good morning, Gareth, and of course greetings to your viewers. Yes, indeed. I think that although there is still a decrease in overall rhino poaching in the country as a whole, we have to be concerned about this shift from the state-protected areas to private reserves. And we suspect that this is primarily as a result of the fact that there has been a considerable step change in the anti-poaching enforcement activities in the national parks. And what we're seeing now is this shift towards the private reserves in Limpopo and Mpumalanga.
And this is where the concern is that because obviously a lot of attention, Minister, as you are well aware of, was paid on how well, for example, the Kruger National Park, Addo Elephant Park, their APUs, their anti-poaching units are doing so well. And now we're seeing the private game reserves being targeted. But the problem with the private game reserves is they don't necessarily have the resources to throw all the staff and all the protection that they need against these poachers. It's a financial problem, isn't it?
Absolutely, Gareth, but I think that the other important thing to mention is that there is an increasingly integrated approach that we are taking with the private reserves. We have this concept of wildlife zones. So what we understand is that rhino poaching in particular is a sophisticated operation. It's obviously an operation that has considerable resources behind it. And I think it's for this reason that we are increasingly introducing IT technology to assist us. We now have this technological platform that was developed by the CSIR. It's called CMOR. And what this platform does, and it's available to both government and to the private sector, is it allows us to collaborate using real-time information. It links up camera traps, it links up a range of patrol systems, and of course through our fusion center we are able to share information about activities of these syndicates, and obviously this allows us to work together with the private sector and subsidizes some of their costs.
And we know when it comes to the syndicates, it's been an ongoing problem. I'm sure, Minister, you'll know the names like Julian Rademacher, Bonnet, de Bod, many of these investigative journalists. It's going after the syndicates one thing. I am going to ask you about your views of the courts and how they are handling this as well. The conviction rate still, while it is progressing, still very low for poachers. Many arrests, not enough convictions, isn't it?
Well, we had 189 arrests last year, 77 within Kruger and 109 outside of the park. This is more than the previous year. There were 38 verdicts handed down by the courts, and in 37 of these cases we got a conviction, 61 accused of rhino poaching or rhino trafficking. And I think what is really interesting is there were hefty sentences. We're looking at effective sentences of 35 years, 45 years, and so on. And I think what is, for me, encouraging about this is finally there is a significant deterrent. I think the other interesting thing about the convictions is we're not just dealing with the foot soldiers. We're also dealing with people who are involved in other aspects of the trade and the value chain. And these are really the people that we want to be targeting.
So these partnerships, Minister, just as a last question to you, between government, state and private game reserves, private rhino owners, what do you tell the private reserves and private rhino owners this morning? What do you need from them and what do you expect in return?
Look, we have to cooperate. We have to support each other. When you're dealing with syndicated crime, intelligence is the key issue. And this is why we have developed this platform. It's why we have set up the Fusion Centre so that we can work together, we can track the movement of poachers, but I think also significantly, we are working in the international domain, we are working in Southeast Asia with police services in Vietnam and in China, and these partnerships are helping us to catch the kingpins, to prevent the cross-border movement of the horns. And I think that it is these things that must give us hope that we are making progress in this battle and we have to continue.
It's going to come down to technology, communication as well. It seems, at least with these systems in place, Minister, we're heading at what appears to be in the right direction. But Minister Barbara Creecy, I'm going to say thank you very much for your time in joining us this morning. It's a complicated issue, this poaching situation. There's problems with lower income communities, that they're getting involved in poaching because it's easy money. We know the issues alongside the Kruger National Park, but now the private game reserves needing help as well. But at least it seems there's some support and guidance from the Department of Environmental Affairs. Okay, I was